What's up guys, it's Greta and I want to welcome you to my channel and welcome back to those of you who are subscribed. If you're not already, be sure to subscribe and give this video a like if you end up enjoying it or if you've learned something. If you follow any hair accounts, you are sure to have seen pancaked braids. What you just saw in these pictures isn't a different kind of braid, but your regular braids with a technique used on them. This technique is called pancaking, and that's where you're pulling the edges out to make the braid bigger, puffier, more boho, more romantic, and things like that. Now, what you may not know is that this technique has so much more to it than just pulling on the braid. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to teach you the tips and tricks that go into perfecting this pancaking technique. Now, if you're ready to learn this technique with me, let's begin. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do two regular 3-strand braids in my own hair. I'm going to pancake one side and leave one side regular so you can see the difference. While I'm going through the pancaking on the one side, I'll break it down and teach you exactly what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and just do a rough middle part for you so we kind of have an even amount of hair on both sides so it isn't skewed one way or the other where one side has more hair and it just looks bigger. So we'll make this even. This side is going to be our regular braid. And there is our regular braid, not pancaked. Now we're gonna do the other side, but this side we are going to pancake. And you want to make each section as even as you can. Once you've done that, you're just gonna go ahead and braid a few stitches of your braid. This is where we're going to start our technique. I'm just gonna pull this out like I did on the other side and a little bit by my ear. So what you're gonna do is you can start at the bottom. You're just gonna pull the edges, just the edges. Okay, just like that. Switch hands, cross one over again, start at the bottom, just pull the edge. You can pull out as much as you want. Then you're gonna do a few more stitches all the way down. Because we're doing a few and then we're pancaking and then doing a few and then pancaking, it doesn't matter if you start at the top or the bottom. You can always go back and do more. But if you do it while you're braiding, it's gonna be way easier to get the desired size that you're looking for, especially when the hair is very silky and or fine. So once you've done your last few stitches, go ahead and put your elastic on the bottom and then start towards that bottom one. And I'm going to show you this part up front. Go ahead and pull those out. Just those edges. You can see I'm just taking the edges and tugging on those. Now if you have layers, they will pop out a little bit. That's okay. Start at the bottom again on this side. Work your way up. So now you can come back, add a little more to the edges if you want. Now here's the difference of our braids. One pancaked and one not. So you can obviously tell there is a huge difference from the one side to the other. One is obviously much bigger looking, and this one is much tighter. It's looser, it's more romantic, it's more boho. So if that's the style you're going for, you need to learn how to pancake. So now we're going to do this with a Dutch braid. I am going to do it the method of pulling out as I go. And then I'm going to braid it all the way down a second time and then show you how it looks when you braid it all the way down and then try and pancake it. So you get both options. So I'm gonna start in the front with a section about this big. This really doesn't matter, wherever you want your braid to start. So this will start right around here for me. If you wanted it to start lower, take your section all the way down there. You'll just have less stitches within the braid. So we're gonna go ahead, go from like my eyebrows and go back. You're going to split this into 3 sections. So I just take 2 fingers, poke them through, and then you automatically have 3 sections. Make sure they're pretty decently even in size. And then just go ahead and begin your Dutch braid. I like to do a few stitches before I add in hair. Usually I like to do it at least once on both sides so that it begins and then you add in on the next one. So I am keeping this tight now while I'm going, and it'll loosen up because I don't want the sides to be super loose. You can do that. I would pancake that with a French braid if you want the sides looser, but this one I'm not going to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in another section on this side. So you just do a few sections on each side and then go ahead and start pancaking. Starting at the bottom, taking the edges and just pull on those. Next one up, edges, pull on that. Go ahead and add in that hair on that side. And then go on to the other side and pancake those sections. Now I'm gonna go ahead and show you how it will look if you try and braid the entire thing and then pancake it. All right, here is my braid totally finished. Nice and tight and no pancaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and start at the bottom. You can see I already have some pieces falling out because of my layers. So we're gonna start at the bottom and work our way up one side first. Again, just taking those edges and holding on to the base. Okay, so we're gonna work all the way up to the nape of the neck with one side and then go on to the other side and pancake that. See that? Seems like I just pulled out that entire piece because that was short. So that'll probably fall out later. The tension on the pieces themselves is much harder to pull apart. Okay, I just feel like it looks messier this way. Like I said before, I feel like you can control it better when you pancake as you go. And there's a lot less back and forth as I'm doing this now, back and forth, left side, right side. See, I just pulled that pulled this one shorter. Now I pulled on that. That felt like it pulled the hair out of the elastic, so that'll probably fall out like this. You can already see that's falling out. But now I'm gonna turn around so you can go ahead and see the back while I'm pancaking. So I made it up to the base right here. I'm just gonna start from this side now. Now you can probably see that as I'm pulling now, pieces down here are getting tighter because I'm pulling out on these. There's hair's got to come from somewhere, so it's pulling other sections tighter. Okay, back down. Again, I'm just pulling on those edges. And then I'm going to go back down the way. And that is the braid pancaked after having been braided all the way down and not doing it while I went. So, you tell me what you think looks better. I think this is messier, and I didn't try and make this look messier. It just is how that comes out, in my opinion, when you do it after it's been braided all the way down. And it's tight to begin with, and then it's almost like you're warring with each side. Like this side wants the hair, but then it pulls this side tighter, and then you pull this side loose, and then this side gets tighter, and it's just way easier to do it the other way. So now let's go over the actual tips and break down what you just learned. Tip number 1 is to assess the hair texture that you're working with. If it's coarse or curly, you may not need to do the next step. Step number 2, if your hair is very fine or very silky, freshly washed especially, you're probably going to want to add a product to it before you begin braiding. And that's going to be something like a texture spray. Tip number 3 is to do the actual pancaking as you go. So don't complete the entire braid and then go back and pancake. You can, but it might be messier. This is more of an optional tip, but like I said, this is to perfect your pancaking technique. And if you want to do that, try and pancake while you go. You'll have so much more control. Tip number 4, pancake just the edges of that braid. Don't pull the entire thing because that is just going to fall right back into place. Make sure you feel your pulling on that and that you feel that hair that's going to set and stay in place. Just those edges. You're only taking the edges and pulling on those edges, because if I take the whole thing, it doesn't really do what I'm trying to make it do. Or if you pull on these like this, it's going to make them like bigger this way, but as you go on the day and the braid gets moved around, that just goes right back into place. So you need to make sure you're taking that edge and pulling on the edge. And bonus tip number 5 is practice. And practice on all sorts of kinds of braids. Dutch braids, French braids, fishtails, rope braids, anything you can think of, you can pancake it. Have fun with it. And if you don't know how to do any of those kinds of braids, I can link my Back to the Basics braiding playlist at the end, and that has those basics of how to do a 3-strand braid, how to Dutch braid, French braid, fishtail, rope braid, 4-strand braid, 5-strand. It's a tongue twister. I can't say all of them, but they're all in there, and you can learn how to do those braids, and then come back to this video, learn how to do the pancaking, and then boom, you already have 2 totally different looks. 1 regular braid, 1 pancaked regular braid, and they look so different, just like I showed you with the 2 braids here. But I also showed you that with the Dutch braid. They are totally different looks. One is tight and maybe edgier or sportier, and one is more romantic and boho and loose. And that is a totally different feel. Maybe you like the edgier, sporty look and the tight look. Maybe it's because you're in sports or something. Or you really love wearing your braid, but now you're going out and you want to do something different and fun. Pancake it. I really hope you learned a lot from this video and that my tips were helpful and easy to understand. If you do have any other questions though, please leave them in the comments down below. and let me know what your favorite braid to pancake is. I'd love to see those comments, and I really do hope to see you in my next video. I make videos weekly every Thursday, so be sure to subscribe if you aren't already and hit that notification bell so you don't miss when the next one comes out. All right, that is it for me today. I, again, hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. Bye!